On today's agenda, we've got the instrument cluster on this first generation Neon. We're going to go ahead and repair it. Not a big deal. This top trim piece here, or whatever, just kind of pops off like that, and across the top. I'll go ahead and remove it here in a moment. As you can kind of see in there, there are a few, well, maybe not a few screws. Looks like I might have dropped a few of them down there originally. That can't help the situation. But nonetheless, off to the side, there's one, there's the other. We operate on the 50% rule out here, and that is engineers totally going overboard on the number of fasteners in an automobile. In my opinion, to the tune of about 50% for warranty and what have you regulations. They go ahead and say, hey, we need twice as many fasteners. Lug nuts, if it's got 4, you probably only need 2. 6, try 3. You see what I'm saying? Here we got 4 fasteners holding this center business in here. Only apparently need 2. And that's not even our problem today. Our problem is that the solder joints on the back are no longer making a good connection here. It's not doing any good. So I'm going to remove just apparently the 2 screws at the top, and then this unit actually pulls straight out. You do that and it releases the connection. So we'll do that and get this thing in the garage. Okay, so after you get the thing out of the car and you pull a bunch of screws out, and I like to pull the front lens off and everything too, just to clean all the dirt and grime, whatever you don't have to. Get all the little Torx screws out of here. I think it's a T15 is what I've been using, and release this little guy so that the board can come off around the motor for the speedometer there. And I've started to already do this, but the pins that are in there, if you just slowly but surely and very carefully pull on the board, it will come off so you can remove the board. So here's the whole guts from the front, and there's the pins where the individual gauges and things attach. We'll set that off to the side. And then the part that we're going to be interested in is going to be on the board here, and more specifically the spots where these, the spots where these connectors attach to in here. Honestly, these don't look terrible, but they still, in a couple spots, and I bet it does not show up at all on the camera very well. In a couple spots, oh yeah, they could definitely use to be reflowed. Can't see it very easily, but especially on this side right here, there's cracks in the solder joints. So we'll heat up the soldering iron and go from there. Okay, I know we're getting a lot of glare and what have you here, but nonetheless, what is this, 5, 10 pins right here are the ones that we're going to be worried about. It's going to be the same deal on the other side. Do have my cheapo soldering iron that I've gotten at a Radio Shack, and we're waiting for it to heat up a little bit. It's nothing that I keep super precision style. Don't really worry about it too much. Most of the stuff I'm doing good enough is going to be great. And so you want to go ahead and tin it up though. So just a little bit of solder on the tip is great. I've got more on there than we need so the camera can hopefully see it. If there's too much, just give it a little flick there. And what we're going to do, and I'm only going to do a couple of these for you guys because quite frankly I need to get up there and get to the point in life where my eyes aren't able to do this from behind the camera anymore. And you're going to go ahead and just kind of melt it. And a lot of guys will tell you don't, this thing's not hot enough, but first of all, you got to let it warm up all the way. But secondly, a lot of guys will tell you don't need to put any solder on this. I would disagree. Let me see if this will do it now. There we go. Yeah, okay, so we've got it to where it'll fully the joint. But there's just not enough solder on this thing to really fill the joint here. So these things were kind of notorious for that. I could probably, with what I've done here, probably get by and leave it, but to me, why not just add a little bit of extra solder and be good to go. More is better, bigger is better, right? So anyway, if I were to do that, we would just get in here, make a nice little puddle, and then add just the tiniest amount of solder there. You can probably see it's got a little more than the rest of his buddies now, and he'll be happy. So we do that, and we're just going to do this to all of them. I mean, you come in here, touch the solder pool here with the stuff, you're really melting the solder into the pool. You're not necessarily melting it on the iron, if you see what I'm saying there. A lot of guys I know, electronics, solder, it's crazy voodoo wizardry, but really it couldn't be further from the truth. This is about as easy as it gets. You go a little Bob Ross style, you know what I mean? No mistakes, happy accidents. And you'll have a good situation where you're really happy. I did this one about maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and it again has kind of cracked to where it has become unhappy. And we don't want our electronics to be unhappy. So we got to get in here, make some mistakes, have some happy accidents. Frankly, try and see what you're doing from behind the camera. That's the hardest part here. What am I even touching right now? So either way, oh, there we go. Yep. So either way, that's what you do. I'm going to do, another 10 plus 4, another 14 of these things. So we'll do that. Nothing special for the solder. Whatever you pick up at Radio Shack is going to be fine. Nothing special for the soldering iron. This hunk of junk's been around my garage for years now. So there she blows. As you can see, that's not pretty. There's probably going to be a lot of guys in the comments that are trashing me for this. But you know what? I'm going to put this thing back in the car and it's going to work just fine. So if you guys have never done any soldering before, this is a great first project. Go out and pick up your $5 Radio Shack iron and a $4 huge spool of solder and have at it here. Get those instrument clusters working. It's annoying to not know how fast you're going. So, and I'll say on the front of the instrument cluster, the way you know that it's the instrument cluster, if your cruise control still works no problems, but your speedometer won't work, then it's definitely your cluster or the wiring going to it, and it's not the speed sensor. So either way, that's a quick tip from me to you there. Anyway, I'm going to put this thing together, put it back in the car, and I don't even need to report back. I know this is going to solve the problem. These joints were all cracked and looking horrible. Until next time.